Would it be surprising to anybody that the most news I get comes from Vox and BuzzFeed? It probably would. I recognize their bias, but here we are. I did 3 videos today. Maybe I'll do more, but I've got 1 BuzzFeed story and 2 Vox stories. Yes, some of them are opinion pieces, and I criticize them. Today we're going to be talking about Christine Blasey Ford, because Vox ran this article. Christine Ford's story isn't over. Isn't it? Well, Brett Kavanaugh is a Supreme Court justice, essentially. It says, the cost of coming forward with her allegations against Brett Kavanaugh was enormous, but it won't be in vain. It's really interesting. This is really, really interesting, okay? Let's look at this first quote. Why suffer through the annihilation if it's not going to matter? Christine Blasey Ford said she asked herself that question this summer when she decided not to come forward publicly to say that Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh had sexually assaulted her when they were in high school. She ultimately reversed her decision, speaking to the Washington Post about her allegations which Kavanaugh denied, and then testifying at a hearing last week. But throughout that process, her question to herself had resonated. After the hearing, Katie McDonough of Jezebel wrote, the sensation of Ford receding from view, her hours of testimony, another woman publicly reopening wounds out of a sense of responsibility, and a fragile belief that it might actually mean something, obliterated by the rage of powerful men. Ford, McDonough wrote, had predicted that future and called it by its name, annihilation. Ford is a careful speaker. In her testimony, before the Senate Judiciary Committee in September, she spoke with the precision of an expert. She is a psychology professor, and the thoroughness of someone who has been forced to go back over her memories again and again and again. It's significant, then, that she chose the word annihilation and not mockery or stigma or threats of harassment, all things she faced in the weeks since she came forward. Christine Ford was afraid of being reduced to nothing. Okay, let's go back up. Why suffer through the annihilation if it's not going to matter? That's what Christine Blasey Ford asked herself. She decided against it and decided to come forward. Let's look at the recent news. This is from ABC7. Christine Blasey Ford has no plans to further pursue allegations against Brett Kavanaugh. That's her attorney. With the Senate voting to confirm Brett Kavanaugh as an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, Christine Blasey Ford has no further plans to pursue her sexual misconduct allegations against Kavanaugh, according to her lawyers. Ford only wanted to speak with members of the Senate Judiciary Committee, her attorneys told CNN on Friday. Ford does not want the situation to drag on into the next Congress should Democrats end up winning control on Capitol Hill, the network reported. How interesting. Just so interesting. Why would she come forward if it wasn't going to matter? Those were her words. And now that Brett Kavanaugh has been confirmed, she's not going to do anything? Well, this is confusing to me. There are a lot of people on the right who are saying that this is evidence it was a political hit job. Well, you're still jumping the gun. There's a lot of reasons why she's backing away. Maybe the stress is too much. But I do find it to be somewhat suspect that she stops as soon as he becomes Supreme Court Justice. Why? She could carry on to the next congressional session. After the midterms, if the Democrats win the House, she could keep going. They could potentially impeach Kavanaugh. Why stop now? If you thought Kavanaugh shouldn't be on the Supreme Court, why stop now? Let's go back to her own quote. Why suffer through the annihilation if it's not going to matter? She reversed her decision and then reversed her decision again. Why did she come forward, if only to speak for a day, and then just stop? I have to imagine there are a lot of people who are going to say, good for her, she did her best. But it's really strange that you've got so many women demanding accountability who will now just say, okay, she's done. Why? Keep demanding accountability. If you believe there's something here, why stop? When asked about the possibility of impeachment proceedings, attorney Deborah Katz told the network Professor Ford has not asked for anything of the sort. What she did was to come forward and testify before the Senate Judiciary Committee and agree to cooperate with any investigation by the FBI, and that's what she sought to do here. She does not want him to be impeached. CNN's Dana Bash. She does not want him to be impeached, Dana Bash later asked. No, Katz replied flatly. Ford's attorney, Lisa Banks, added that Ford feels she did the right thing by testifying and has no regrets. Kavanaugh's pathway to confirmation seemed unfettered until Ford accused him of drunkenly sexually assaulting her in a locked room in 1982 at a high school gathering. 2 other women later emerged with allegations from the 1980s. Kavanaugh has denied the allegations. Okay. She doesn't want him impeached. I thought she testified that she didn't want to it was her civic duty to inform people of who Kavanaugh was. So maybe it's fair to say that She expected him to get confirmed the whole time, and her plan and her intentions were never to stop it or to get him impeached, but just to make sure everyone knows who he was. Sure, if that's the case, but I don't think she would have to testify if that were the case. In my opinion, testifying only served to either delay the confirmation process or block his confirmation process. If she, I don't know why. I'm not going to make speculations, but I'd have to imagine that if you are quoted as saying, "Why suffer through the annihilation if it's not going to matter?" then why would you stop now? Why would you say he shouldn't be impeached if you tried to stop him from becoming a Supreme Court justice in the first place? Kavanaugh's foes cast him as a product of hard-drinking, male-dominated private school culture in Washington's upscale Maryland suburb of Bethesda. He and his defenders asserted that his high school and college focus was on academics, sports, and church. And they have a video about it, I guess. But let's go back to what Vox was saying, because they're painting this as though someone, the story is her story isn't over, right? This is from the 7th. This story is from the 6th. So even though she said she's not going to continue, Vox is saying it's not over, right? So let's ask why. They say, after a few days of testimony and investigation during which survivors took to the streets and the halls of Congress to add their own stories to forwards, the Senate voted 50-48 on Saturday to send Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court. It's a story that has played out again and again over the past year, as Americans, most of them women, opened up about some of the most painful events of their lives in the hopes that maybe, finally, something will change. In this case, the cost has been immense. A woman forced to relive her trauma on a national scale only to be mocked by the President of the United States. Others have come to lend her support, only to be condemned by senators and as bullies or children. Women have bared their souls, and in return have been scoffed at, threatened, insulted, and disbelieved. And now a man accused of sexual assault has a lifetime appointment to the country's highest court. And you know what? Is it a shame? I can't say it is or it isn't. Because what really bothers me is how the Democrats all make sure to do this. They say credible sexual assault allegations. Credible to who? What does credible even mean? It annoys me they add that word because they're not credible. There's no evidence, there's no time, there's no date, there's no location. Look, I feel for victims, 100%. I believe the law must protect the innocent. That includes every single victim of assault, every single person who was wronged by another. And I will say that anybody who would violate the agency of an individual is committing a violation of human rights and is a bad person. And that's why we have the law. But the law must do everything in its power to protect the innocent. I keep hearing this excuse, but it's not a criminal court. If you were in a job interview and someone accused of sexual assault, you shouldn't get the job. No. That's ridiculous. Like the idea that someone on their own might be trying to imagine this. Imagine a woman breaks up with her boyfriend, I actually know somebody. She's working a job. She hasn't been with this guy in years, and he keeps sending emails to her employers making things up about her to get her fired. And it works. And it's wrong. 100% wrong. Now, guess what? I don't know who's telling the truth. I believe my friend when she says it's all lies, for sure, because she's my friend. I don't know who this guy is. But this guy, maybe someone else believes him. Maybe the job sees these and goes, wow, it must be true. Maybe it's credible, and they don't want to have her hired anymore. Either way, without evidence, it shouldn't be allowed. So it's absurd that that's the argument. It's not surprising that Ford feared annihilation. Every day we see high-profile men climbing back to positions of power and influence after a few token months out of the public eye. Almost as though women had never come forward to report that those men had groped and hounded, assaulted, and abused them. Almost as though those women never existed. No, also point something out too. There is nuance in the discussion of sexual assault. You can't claim that a groping is as bad as like a gang rape, right? There's differences in how bad things are, and the courts view them as such. So people will have their career damaged for impropriety, and they should. And eventually they should be allowed to come back so long as they have changed their ways and will never do it again. And if they do it again, that's strike two. The punishment should be a little bit more severe. But when we're talking about a case where it's 36 years ago and allegedly this guy drunkenly groped a woman, is that a really bad thing? Yes, 100%. In my opinion, if you could prove it, I'd say, hey man, maybe that disqualifies you. I'm not one to I don't think I know exactly what should or shouldn't be. But I do believe that judging someone based on the actions they did 36 years ago is probably not smart. There are a lot of people who used to be gangbangers, criminals, murderers, and even 10 years later, they're good people. They've changed. You can't... How many people got out of prison? Ex-cons, ex-felons, who have changed, who have found religion, or just for whatever reason said, I don't want to do that anymore. Please give me a chance. And they can't, because everyone holds it against them. To me, that's ridiculous. Now, there are some good arguments, like if someone robs a bank, don't give them a job at a bank. But if they've changed their ways, people do deserve forgiveness and a second chance. And it's mind-numbing that whatever this mainstream left-wing movement is, it's all about guilt until proven innocent and no second chances, period. They will dig up your past. I mean, look, people on the right have done it too. You know, Mike Cernovich dug up James Gunn's old tweets, and he got in trouble for that, even though he had somewhat apologized. He didn't apologize directly for them, it's my understanding. He apologized for being offensive. So I want to see what they conclude on this story, what their final thoughts are as to why they think she's not going away, even though they said she said she's going away. What's different now is that more than ever before, Americans are coming together to resist this annihilation. It may be easy to erase one woman. It's a lot harder to erase thousands. Ford's testimony didn't stop Kavanaugh from being confirmed. But what she started when she agreed to speak to the Washington Post won't end today. The midterm elections are coming, and with them, the possibility that Republicans at all levels of government will have to reckon with the Senate's vote. More broadly, a time is coming when powerful people and the institutions that support them are no longer insulated, as they once were, from the voices of those whom they've assaulted or harassed. That time has been a long time coming, since 1991 at least, if not before that. And maybe it's not quite here yet, but it's closer than ever before. What they're really saying is that a time will come where an unproven allegation is good enough to destroy your life. And that is a terrifying world. When we're talking about, our English common law, the idea that it is better that the guilty escape than the innocent suffer, the idea that there is a presumption of innocence, this is progress. We came from a world of intolerance, racism, bigotry, and slavery, and we've overcome these things. And we want to maintain all of the best aspects of that. How to respect individuals, how to respect their freedom and their right to pursue, or their rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That includes the fact that unfounded allegations will not disrupt your life, period. And they're continually arguing it should. I'm not confident in the future. Anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. I'll see you guys in the main channel tomorrow at 4 p.m.